Okay, welcome back. So, we're now going to do some interesting analysis on some groups of hives. Now, as I mentioned last video, I have basically my hives broken into some categories, which is their location on the truck. Now, this could work for any data. You could do it for male, female. You could do it for age groups. You could do it for different types of people. However you basically want to break up your data. In my case, I've used front and back on the trailer, top or bottom in a stack of hives, or left, center and right. And you can see I've got these values set for each set of hives up here, and they're all coded down. So what I want to do is I've been able to create this set of values, which are the averages for the front of the truck, average for the back, average for the top, bottom, left, center and right. And these are all slightly different groups. So I'll just colour those because, well, we can, and it makes it look pretty, and it also helps break up our information a little bit so we can see what's going on. Ooh, that's ugly. Okay, we'll keep him there. Okay, so we've got these different groups here. Now, how did I get this value? Well, I used a function called AverageIF. Now, you can see this function up here, but I'll go through it to show you how to make it. So the way AverageIF works is we take in, we start off by going equals, to start typing average, and you'll see it says AverageIF, scroll down, and it says finds average, or the arithmetic mean, for the cells specified by a given condition or criteria. Great. So I'm going to hit tab, and you can see it says range, criteria, and the average range. So the range is the data we're examining. So if I'm doing front and back, I want to grab the front back data up here. So I just select that whole lot. Now you'll see that it's gone C3 to M3, and that's great. And I'm going to hit a comma. And the criteria we want, well, we're in the front column at the moment, so I want to know which ones of these have got an F in them, such as front. So I'm going to use double quote marks, capital F, and then close the quote marks. And that tells us we're looking for basically a text string being F. And you can use whole words in here if you don't want to use this, as long as they match. Then we're going to hit comma again. Now the average range is the range you want to search for the values to average. Now this, in my data set, is going to be along here, and this corresponds to this set of readings under here, so all the hives. And then I'm going to close this off like so. Hit enter, and now we can see we've got an average of all the fronts at this time of day. Now that's great. If I copy this over into the back column, that should work. But it won't. And the reason for that is if we look at the formula, all of these have actually changed. The position of our cells have changed because Excel automatically hops across to the next things. So you can see we're now including the day data and we're missing out hive number 1. Now that's not good. So let's delete that. We could do two things. We could either manually change this back to C and to M, or more effectively, if we go into this formula, if I highlight my range, I can basically tell it to always be on the C column by inserting a $sign. And I can tell it always to be on the M column by inserting another $sign. So I could go through and do that for all these values. Now, the advantage of doing this is when I have that, if I drag it down, oh, something's gone wrong. What's gone wrong? Well, what's gone wrong is that we're searching this row here. If I fill down, we're now trying to search the row underneath it with a different data set, and that's not correct. So what we want to do is actually lock in this first range. We do this by putting another $sign in front of the cell number or the row number. We do that and we now have something that should, if I haven't messed it up, calculate down for those rows. Now there is another way of doing this, which is when you have your cell selected, if you select the range and hit the F4 key on a PC, and I believe it's Command and Shift F4 or Function F4, you'd have to check that for a Mac, we can actually toggle between different combinations. In this case I want all of them, whereas over here I just want it to be the column and not the row because I want it to track down. So that's the F4 key, that's the columns locked in but not the rows. Okay, great. Now I've already done that for the other ones. As I've gone across, when I say for example I've copied across, I've checked it, the rows are correct, but on this one I have to change the criteria. I want to go from front now to back. And that gives me just the back data. Then when I've gone to do the top, you can see that basically I have moved down to the next line in my blue, but I'm still using the same data set here. And the same thing happening there, but with a different criteria. And the same thing happening here, but with the next set of criteria. And this one I'm using an L, a C, and an R, each time moving down the data set. Now it's really useful to look at the colors here so you can identify what rows you're talking about and visually check. Once you've done this, you can literally drag the entire box down. And now I've got this all filled out. I'm going to reduce the number of decimal places so it's a little bit more readable. And then, yes, you guessed it, we're going to do some conditional formatting so that we can see interesting values. Okay, so that's a quick and easy way of getting some groups and doing some basic data analysis in Excel. It's all quite exciting, and we will have a look at something that can represent this more visually next time. Okay, thanks guys.